And today we're going to teach you on how to save money with agents' fees. It's a hot topic, a topic we have with every client when they engage our services. And we're going to tell you what's important and how to save a bit of moolah. Lisa Novak.
Good morning. How are we?
Very good, you.
Good for a rainy old Friday. It's nice to see a bit of rain here in Sydney.
Oh, it's good to give everything a bit of a shower, a bit of a cleans the roads, good for flora and fauna. It's beautiful.
It is good. It is. This is a great topic, actually. When I came up with it this morning, Mark, this is a really good topic.
It's a great topic. You're such an ideas person. Look,
No, it is.
And it doesn't. This doesn't have to be a tough topic. It can be a fun topic. And I think being a seller, choosing agents, and based on a fee, being a landlord choosing agent based on their fee. Also, it's also money out, so it's not just the percentages, but there's other things we're going to educate you on today to watch out for, and to do as well. But you know what? If you've got the right person for your agent, it's a fun topic. Make it fun. Don't make it hard.
And it's funny because when everyone thinks about saving money on real estate costs, the first thing that comes to mind is commission, which we are going to address, of course, shortly. Not every vendor, I just want to say, guys, not every vendor is actually looking for the cheapest agent. In fact, I find most aren't. We're going to talk about shortly, Mark, what we do and how we use a flexi fee. But I can tell you now it's interesting, and I want to have some conversations around that as well. But let's get into it. So let's talk about some ways that you can legitimately save costs on real estate. First of all, I want to talk about a $0 marketing option that we offer. So we actually offer two plans of marketing. Marketing's a huge part of a real estate transaction, and that can go for rentals marketing and sales marketing as well. But I do a lot of expired listings, and I'm always floored when vendors come to me and they're like, we don't want to spend another cent in marketing. And I go, okay, I understand, because they pretty much all the vendors say that when I'm taking over an expired listing. And then when we come to the conversation about how much they've paid in marketing, I literally cannot even hide my surprised face.
Yep. Yeah.
As in,
sometimes people don't spend it efficiently. So
I heard a story the other day where vendors had paid in excess of $30,000 in marketing. $30,000. And this was not even a particularly high-end property. So let's talk about marketing for a sec.
And just to read into what you just said, Lisa, I sent one around the other day. I had a client that asked me for an opinion. They're out of the area, out of our core area. They are a good friend, and they said, we're going to send you the marketing pack and presentation for both agents. And I said, good, send me the presentation for both agents. Anyway, so he got the agents through. He sent it over to me, no proposal. So doesn't talk about team, service, add value, nothing. Just sent me two letterheads with marketing costs. 30 grand, 32 grand is one of them. And I was like, your property's a blended commercial and blended residential property. He's like, yeah. I said, why isn't it on realestate.com? And he goes, yeah, I did think about that. I said, but it's in a newspaper, and you're spending 2/3 of your marketing on newspaper, which was Financial Review and Courier newspaper. And I'm just like, you don't, and he's like, yeah, but we're trying to target that older market. I said, you don't think older people get on the internet or have access to the internet
My
So
mum's 76 and my mum's 76 and she's on Facebook, like
yeah,
religiously on Facebook, more so than what I am.
read the play, and I think
Yeah.
that and with some people are just in that cookie cutter approach. There's your 30.
Yeah. Oh, we keep losing Mark there. But I agree. As Mark's saying, you've got to be careful with how much money you are spending on that marketing. So you're back, Mark. We offer a
Yes.
$0 marketing option. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't spend any money on marketing. We actually step each vendor through that process. So one of them, without going into enormous detail, because we want to cover a lot of costs, a lot of things today, but one of them is a $0 marketing option, where we actually do cover the costs of your professional photos with a professional photographer. That saves you about $950. We also cover the cost of your professional signboard. It's not a stock standard signboard either. It is a signboard made for your property, and that's a saving of $450. And then we'll also step you through the process of what paid online marketing looks like as well, if we want to do that two-pronged approach.
Yep.
Now, something that a lot of people don't know about, Mark, and I want to address this as well. And guys, I don't know if this is Australia wide, but realestate.com for certain agencies do what's called a no sale, no pay option. So if you get your property onto realestate.com, and these real estate portals are not cheap. Realestate.com in our
Yeah.
area is about $3,089 for a
Yeah.
listing, for a premium listing. If you get your property onto realestate.com and it does not sell, you can pull the listing and not have to pay any money. It's called a no sale, no pay option. Now, I don't know if this is relevant in every state, and I don't know if this is relevant to every agent. We, get a very certain amount of these, a quarter. The flip side is if the property does sell on realestate.com, you're up for a 20% surcharge of that fee. So on top, you're looking at an extra $700.
And I think, guys and girls, when you're looking at agents' fees, where this becomes really important is price discovery. Often you've had one, two, three agents through your property, and you're motivated to do the business, but until you've actually had real buyers with real offers through, you haven't gone through your price discovery process and done it properly, by the way. So it's really, really important. So banging out $3,000 for a price discovery process, sometimes the people are like, I just don't have the money to punt risk. This is a great idea.
So, and just on that, guys, this is not about saving money and actually making it detrimental to your sales campaign. This is not what this is about, right? I've got a million case studies. I've sold a ton of property away from the real estate portals, and I have a ton of case studies to substantiate that you can sell certain properties away from the real estate portals and make a huge amount of money, more so than maybe if you were on those portals. Not to say you shouldn't use them. A great agent will guide you through that, but that's not what today's about. But Mark, I want to talk about spending money on marketing, spending money on renovating your property, which sometimes we do recommend that you do: paint, carpet, lights, marketing. This can add up sometimes to thousands and thousands of dollars. Let's talk a minute about a company called Campaign Agent.
Yep.
Over to you.
Campaign. So often people, and particularly in trying times, these are trying times. People just can't get their can't get their hands on money for marketing. So they may want to and renovations. So they may want to furnish their property to make it look better. They may want to paint. They may want to carpet, and they just know that these things are screaming out to get done, and they just like just a bit strapped. So we do offer a company called Campaign Agent, which will offer, I believe it's up to 20, 30, $40,000 on most properties. It's a bit like Harvey
Or
Norman, where you
more,
got your,
or more,
what is it, or more.
or more.
It's a bit like Harvey Norman, where you get those good, don't have to pay anything for 48 months sort of thing. This is different. You don't have to pay anything, but it's for like a 6 month period. But it is genius for owners that are wanting to present their properties better, but just can't get their hands on the cash. They don't want to put on their credit card. They don't want to ask family. So it's a good way. Ask
It's
your
a
agent
really
about
good
that.
way and it's really easy to get. So we actually have just got a QR code that you literally scan on our presentation. It'll take you straight through. I have never had a client say that it was a difficult process. It's literally answering a few questions. You click, you submit your application. It's not something dodgy either. Most real estate agents will offer this up. And literally within a matter of hours, you've got a response that yes, those funds are available. The real estate agent can go and then spend those on your behalf, i.e. for marketing, i.e. for styling, i.e. for renovations. And then that amount is taken out at settlement. We get an invoice and then the amount's taken out at settlement. So you don't have to have those funds up front, which is often a pain point for a lot of people. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
particularly,
they would choose an agent on the back of that. So sometimes an agent will say, "I'll pay it up front,"
that's it.
and they're not getting the best campaign because of that, because the agent's going miser on them. So, it can be really good to bring the control back into your court on marketing.
Yep. So that is a phenomenal option. Most agents these days offer some form. If it's not campaign agent, there's other companies out there. But to be honest, we've never had an issue with them. And so, that is a wonderful, wonderful option if you don't have those funds up front. I want to talk about
Customers love it.
reusing photos. I've got a client I'm actually bringing on a listing at the moment. And we talked about photos and I said, look, I actually do pay the cost of the photos for you if you use my $0 marketing option first. And he said, oh, I think I've got some photos from when I purchased the property. And I said, okay, great. FYI, I don't love to use other people's photos.
Never
Um,
works.
no, but the question is, are they yours or are they the real estate agents?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because, yeah, because if I'm paying the cost of someone's photos, and I don't do it so that I can hold the photos, I actually do it so that I can help people. But, I had an agent who called me up a few weeks ago and they said, oh, Lisa, we're bringing on this property. We know that you were selling it, whatever, you had sold it 4 or 5 years ago. Do you mind sending us the photos? And I was like, guys, I paid for those. Like, they're not the vendors. I mean, I didn't really care, but I'm like, I paid for them out of my own pocket. They're not the vendors. If the photos are yours, great. If the photos are really good, potentially they can be reused. Potentially they can.
And
Um,
floor plan.
floor plan, that's a good one, Mark. Let's talk about that one in a sec.
Yeah,
But with photos, guys, these days you can actually take old photos if they're good. They have to be good. And you can actually drop in digital furniture these days. Lots of people do not know this.
yeah.
So these days we can digitally erase furniture inside a property. We're not selling furniture. We can do this. We're selling a property. And digitally we can drop in styled furniture. So online, it looks so good. This digital furniture has gotten so good now that it's almost impossible to tell whether the property has been styled or not. So
Yeah.
it's a great option. It is a great option if you don't have the budget to get your property fully styled.
And Lisa, we've covered a lot of topics this morning for people to save money of commission if you've just tuned in. Um,
To
we've
save
talked
money
about,
on real estate, not on commission.
sorry,
We're
on
going to talk about
commissions.
that in a sec.
Okay.
Um,
So when it comes to the good old fashioned, I know we've danced around the question a little bit, but the good old fashioned nailing an agent on their fee,
oh,
right?
wait. Sorry, Mark, just before you jump into that.
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to
Everyone's
finish up
waiting.
with
Everyone's waiting for this one.
I know. I just want to finish up with the styling because
Yeah.
a lot of people will say about that digital styling, which is really quite cheap to do in comparison to getting a property styled. Not to say we don't style. I do style certain properties, but it can be expensive. We're talking about thousands versus hundreds. The great thing about the digital styling is if we've got a property that is tenanted, we cannot style that. So, and if it's not presenting well, the digital styling is an awesome option that will literally cost you maybe a few $100. Rarely do people walk into a property, buyers walk into a property and go, where's that nice blue couch that was in the photo? I've never had it happen.
Never,
Never. So
never,
it's a
never,
really
never.
good option. Okay, on to the big one, Mark, commission. Let's talk about it.
Good old fashioned commission. And by the way, statewide, there's I got the data on. I think I sent it to you, Lise, on what agents' commissions have been doing over the last 5 years with management fees for rentals, with selling fees. They've been going in a downward direction, which is very, very interesting. I could see it state by state. I went to the Macquarie Bank benchmarking conference. When
Wow.
a Yeah, so when a person is when you're negotiating with the agent, you do first of all want to understand what you're getting for your money. Because I love what you say, Elise, with clients when they tell you about a fee they're getting. It's different to a mortgage, fee where they give you the money and you just pay less for the money on your interest rate. It's not the
Yeah.
same. Its products and services wildly vary between, and personalities wildly vary between agents, wildly. So you sort of want to see what's being bundled in that when you're being quoted that percentage. Now, I love what you say, Lisa. You always say, I didn't realize you wanted the cheapest agent when people, refer a cheap commission to you. How do you handle this and what do you recommend?
Okay, so there is a very easy way that I handle it. First of all, you've just got to be really open with your communication. The great thing about our industry is it is so transparent. So when someone says to me, oh, but the other agent said that they'll do it for blah, blah, I'm like, listen, this is what I would love you to spend the next 2 minutes doing. Just go online and just count up how many properties they've transacted as opposed to how many properties I have transacted, and have a look at the prices that I get in comparison to maybe some of the other agents that are out there. Because what you could potentially save, we're talking about usually, a few $1,000s in difference in commission, as opposed to potentially tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in the result of your sales price. It is absolutely significant. It
Yeah.
really is. Be very careful of the cheapest agent in the room, guys. Be very, very careful. The good old fashioned saying of you get what you pay for is true. I cannot tell you how many cleanups I do. I cannot tell you. I reckon half of my listings are cleanups after other agents that had overpromised and underdelivered. So just be real careful with that. We are not all the same. We are not.
And
It's like saying,
it's,
Mark, every doctor's the same. Every
I know.
specialist is the same. It's not. We're
Yeah,
not all
I,
the
I
same.
think I just know there's certain things, products and services that you can't afford to go cheap on. To give you an example, like you've just said, if you're going in for surgery, you're not really, the cheapest doctor to be doing that surgery, right? There are things that you can do that when it's your property value and one of the biggest assets you own. I think you got to be careful, real careful on going cheap.
But in saying that, I also, as an agent, I have a very different mindset, Mark. I don't want to be chosen on commission. So I'm often saying to my clients, okay, if we were all the same, who would you choose? If we were all the same commission, who would you choose? And I want to show you how irrelevant commission is to me. So I actually offer up a flexi fee. And again, this could save you guys money. But on the flip side, you may also pay more money. So I actually leave the commission, the flexi fee. I give a range in commission. So, and it's quite a wide range in commission. And I say to my owners, you choose what you would like to pay me once the property has been sold. I just want you, please, to base your decision on service and on results.
Yep.
And it's funny, sometimes vendors, at least half the vendors go, "Well, wouldn't I just opt for the lower end of that commission scale?" If I've just gotten you, like I just sold a property yesterday and I just got that vendor much more money than what she was anticipating. She actually called me during the day. The property hadn't even gone unconditional yet. And she called me during the day and she said, before we're sold, I just want you to know I'm so happy that I chose you, Lisa. Like, you've worked hard you got a phenomenal result. And this was not an easy sale. The strata was quite tricky. You got a phenomenal result fast. We didn't even sell on the portals, by the way. We sold away from the portals. And she's just like, you were honest. You were always available. I just want to let you know I'm paying you right at the top.
You know what? It's quite, the flexi fee is nice for people because often they don't even need to have the conversation when they're assessing. If you're They're assessing so much, they don't know the sales price, they don't know how the agent's going to perform, whether
Yeah.
they're a weapon of an agent or they're a dud, and then they can save that decision making until sold, and then they can pin the tail on the donkey with the fee. I love doing a
But
fee
Mark, can
that
I
way.
just
I
say,
love it.
I think it's a wonderful option. Now,
Yeah.
I also take the risk as an agent that I may get paid at that lower end of the scale. But listen, I'm in the game this is a business. We run a business as well. I also don't want to lose listings. I don't want to lose,
Yeah.
great listings either. So, if that vendor was going to pay me at the lower end, and look, I know sometimes my clients, they're going through a world of pain financially.
Yeah.
This is just I'm happy to help. Pay me at the lower end, guys. That's fine. If we just got you out of trouble, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Trust me, they will refer me 20 times over.
Yeah.
But a flexi fee is a great option, guys, to offer up to your agent if they're not offering it to you. The other thing is fixed fee, Mark. You talked about that just before we came on air.
Yes. So I think it's a great idea because you can just nominate a number. You don't see it much, but I think it's depending on the market that you're in, it can work. So if basically you just say it's a $10,000 commission on a sale, that commission can go up a couple $100, can go down a couple $100, what, 1,000 up, 1,000 down. You can just say, let's do 9,000 or let's do 11,000 and agree on one number relevant to the property price. Agents still try working hard for you, so a fixed fee does happen, and you do see it often with big corporate rentals where they'll actually nominate a number rather than a percentage over the rent, sort of shopping centres and stuff like that.
And then finally, there's the sliding scale. I'm just signing up a property on a sliding scale now. I do find with my higher end clients, they actually do like a sliding scale. And basically, what that is, it's a fee up to a certain amount on the sale price, and then anything above that price, there's a bit of a kicker. There's like an accelerator that comes in. So, a client feels as though the agent may work harder if there's that kicker over a certain sale price. And it's usually quite a generous kicker. We call that a sliding scale. And again, you can have them in serious
Tier.
varieties as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can change at every 100,000 increments. So there you go, guys. Ways to save on some real estate costs. There's plenty of, I can tell you, we could go on about this all day. There is actually plenty and plenty of stuff out there. Everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. So,
Absolutely.
always be open to having that conversation. Just on that flexi fee, it's a nice way to say to an agent, all right, let's look at the range. Let's look at that flexi fee range and we'll nominate it once we've sold the property. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if, you're coming in and let's say hypothetically you're a 2% agent and that vendor's going, no, I'm only going to pay you 1.3. That's it. That's all I'm willing to pay. It's not really a great way to get started with a relationship either. So the flexi is great. As I said, it's a nice option on both sides.
It is. As Luke says, going out, pay money to make money.
There you go.
Boom. Have a
There
great
you
day.
go. See you guys.
See you, ladies. Bye.
Bye.